Trump's reported plans for fresh strikes on Iran are facing growing resistance as Tehran signals it is fully prepared for another confrontation. Iran issued a chilling warning to Washington, saying any new attack would be met with a response more painful and more decisive than before. Donald Trump reportedly skipped his son's wedding events as White House discussions over possible military action against Iran intensified. Iranian forces projected confidence and military readiness even as reports suggested the U.S. is struggling to replenish key weapons stockpiles after recent conflicts. Concerns are mounting over America's shrinking supply of advanced air defense interceptors, including THAAD systems, amid fears of a wider Iran conflict. The Trump administration is reportedly preparing for a fresh wave of strikes against Iran amid escalating tensions in the Middle East. According to CBS News, President Donald Trump is leaning toward military action, though no final decision has yet been made. Reports say Trump skipped his son's wedding event to remain at the White House as discussions over Iran intensified. Axios also reported that several U.S. military officials canceled Memorial Day weekend plans amid expectations of possible military action. The White House said Trump has been clear about the consequences if Iran fails to agree to a deal with Washington. President Donald Trump reportedly met top national security officials on May 22 to discuss options regarding Iran, according to Axios. Sources say Trump has grown increasingly frustrated with ongoing negotiations with Tehran in recent days. Reports suggest the U.S. president is now seriously considering renewed strikes unless there is a last-minute diplomatic breakthrough. Despite escalating military tensions, both CBS News and Axios reported that no final order for military action has been issued yet. Meanwhile, White House Deputy Chief of Staff Dan Scavino posted footage of a U.s. B-2 stealth bomber flying through the clouds. The video fueled speculation online over possible military preparations against Iran. Observers also noted that Scavino had posted a similar clip on February 26, just 2 days before the U.S. and Israel launched strikes on Iran. Iran responded with fresh threats, warning that any new U.S. attack would trigger direct retaliation from Tehran. Hassan Zadeh said Iran's forces are fully prepared to respond to any military action. Zadeh warned that Tehran would strike back harder, more painfully, and more decisively than before, according to Iran International. The warning comes as fears grow that diplomacy between Washington and Tehran may be nearing collapse. With both sides escalating military signaling, concerns are mounting over the risk of a wider U.S.-Iran conflict in the region. Trump administration officials are reportedly raising new questions about how the Pentagon is portraying U.S. power projection in the Iran war, with internal doubts emerging over whether the public narrative matches the real battlefield and logistics picture. Vice President J.D. Vance has reportedly been asking whether the Pentagon is giving President Donald Trump the full picture of the war, especially in private discussions about costs, risks, and sustainability. According to The Atlantic, Vance raised concerns in closed-door meetings about U.S. missile stockpiles and whether key munitions are being depleted faster than the administration has publicly acknowledged. Vance is said to fear that American missile reserves may be far more strained than official messaging suggests, particularly after weeks of high-intensity operations tied to the Iran conflict. Those concerns reportedly extend beyond Iran, with Vance worrying about whether the United States would still be able to fight a major future war in Taiwan, Korea, or Europe if stocks are being burned down too quickly now. Despite that, U.S. military officials and War Secretary Pete Hegseth have continued to insist that American stockpiles remain robust and that the military's position is still strong. Officials familiar with intelligence assessments told The Atlantic that the internal picture may be more complicated than those public assurances suggest, helping explain why questions inside the administration are growing sharper. The United States weapons inventory may be under increasing strain, raising concerns about readiness for future conflicts. A report by Business Insider suggests that critical munitions are being consumed at a significant pace during the ongoing Iran war. Over the course of just 39 days, U.S. forces reportedly relied heavily on 7 key weapon systems in coordination with Israel. These findings were highlighted by 2 warfare specialists associated with the Center for Strategic and International Studies. According to defense analysts, such levels of consumption could pose challenges if a larger conflict were to emerge. The report indicates that while the U.S. maintains substantial stockpiles, they may not be sufficient for prolonged or simultaneous wars. Even prior to the Iran conflict, assessment suggested that US stockpiles could be stretched in the event of a major confrontation with China. Experts have warned that replenishing munitions used in the Iran war could take considerable time and industrial capacity. Some estimates indicate that more than half of pre-war inventories for certain systems may already have been expended. The scale of US munitions usage during the Iran conflict is reflected in the numbers below. Around 1,430 Patriot interceptors have reportedly been used out of a total inventory of approximately 2,330 units. 4 SM-3 interceptors. Estimates suggest that between 130 and 250 missiles have been expended from a stockpile exceeding 400. In the case of SM-6 missiles, usage is believed to have reached up to 370 out of an available inventory of about 1,160. Precision strike missiles, considered a newer battlefield asset, have seen between 40 and 70 units deployed from roughly 90 available. Tomahawk land attack cruise missiles have also been used extensively, with more than 850 fired from a stockpile exceeding 3,000. Similarly, around 1,000 joint air-to-surface standoff missiles have reportedly been utilized from an inventory of over 4,000 units. In response, Washington is reportedly moving to expand production and rebuild depleted stockpiles. Lockheed Martin is expected to increase THAAD interceptor production capacity to approximately 400 units annually. Production of Tomahawk missiles is also being scaled up to exceed 1,000 units per year. However, estimates suggest it could take more than 4 years to fully replenish certain key systems. As a result, analysts believe the US could face increased vulnerability in the event of another major conflict. Many of the munitions expended in the Iran war are considered essential for deterrence and operations involving China. Military experts have emphasized the importance of maintaining sufficient long-range strike capabilities for future scenarios. The report further cautions that a potential conflict with China could lead to even faster depletion of US stockpiles. Reports say Iran has already restarted drone production during the ceasefire, quietly bringing assembly lines and repair facilities back online to replace war losses and expand its fleet. U.S. intelligence now believes Tehran is rebuilding its weapons arsenal significantly faster than early post-strike estimates suggested, forcing analysts to revise their timelines. American officials say Iran has already exceeded the initial reconstruction schedules that Washington drew up, demonstrating high resilience and pre-planned redundancy in its military industry. According to these assessments, Iran is actively replacing missile sites, launchers, and key weapons facilities that were destroyed or damaged during the war, often dispersing and hardening new locations. One U.S. assessment now warns that Iran could reconstitute much of its drone capability in as little as 6 months, restoring a core pillar of its long-range strike and proxy support strategy. Despite early U.S. claims of severe damage, fresh intelligence reporting indicates Iran still retains meaningful ballistic missile capabilities and was not disarmed of this option. American assessments suggest that a large share of Iran's missile launchers survived, meaning the country can still fire salvos if conflict resumes at scale. More detailed estimates now say roughly 2/3 of Tehran's launchers remain intact after US-Israeli strikes, underscoring the limits of even intensive air and missile campaigns. Reports add that some buried or hardened missile launchers were located, dug out, and recovered during the current ceasefire, then prepared to return to operational status. Intelligence also indicates that thousands of Iranian drones, estimated at nearly half of Iran's total pre-war drone capacity, are still available for use. Analysts note that Iran's coastal cruise missile network along its shoreline remains largely untouched, with launch sites and support infrastructure still functional. Because of this intact coastal network, Iran retains the ability to threaten or disrupt commercial and military shipping traffic transiting the Strait of Hormuz if tensions spike again. U.S. intelligence assessments further allege that Russia has been helping Iran rebuild after the strikes, including with technical know-how and possibly components. American sources also claim China has continued supplying Iran with missile-related components, despite sanctions and Western diplomatic pressure. Echoing these concerns, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has publicly accused China of assisting Iran's missile production, framing it as a strategic challenge for Israel and its allies. An Iranian source told RIA Novosti that Tehran still possesses advanced weapons that have not yet been used. Iran warned those weapons are ready for deployment if the conflict escalates once again.